Hello, my little pretties. What's up? It's your mistress, the Queen of Lions here, and today we are gonna look into for another episode of Shadows and Pretties. This is episode 9. Today we are looking into Disney's Aladdin. Now I am gonna be talking about the original Aladdin that came out in 1991, but we're also gonna cover the remake as well that came out last year in 2019. And of course, we're also going to focus on those two main movies, but we will get to the sequels that the 1992 had, like Return of Jafar and The King of Thieves, but not too much into those topics, but we're going to mainly focus on the two Disney movies. Of course, let's talk about the 1992 movie. Now, I'm going to, kind of review the movie. If you guys have not seen my review on the movie, I highly recommend you check it out. So, I'm just going to refresh the movie for those who haven't seen the movie in like a long time, and for those who haven't seen the movie in ages. I'm sure most of us have seen this as a kid. Like I've met every single person that has seen this story. Now, basically, what this story is about, it's basically, so we're going to talk about the 1992 version of it, and then we'll get around from there. However, I'm going to be completely honest right here. It has really good actors like Robin Williams, who played as the genie, which is sad that he died. So, of course, this movie, the Aladdin, however, being one of the high-grossing films of 1992, and of course, it was the highest grossing animated film of all time until it was surpassed by The Lion King. Obviously, if you want to hear me talk about The Lion King on my next on the podcast episodes, you can look at those. Aladdin gathered around 2 Academy Awards, and of course, this movie was actually a really great concept to the movie. However, inspired by this film that we're talking about, has 2 direct-to-video sequels, one of them being Return of Jafar, which we'll get to in a minute, and Aladdin, King of Thieves. Now, and then there's also an animated series of the same name, however, for later on, it then became a Broadway adaptation, and then the live-action movie came out. So, I'm going to get with the plot about this movie, explain about it. Now, basically, this whole movie is taking place in the Middle East. Like, I'm not sure when in the Middle East, but you guys can let me know. I think it's Saudi Arabia that it takes place around that time, but I could be wrong. You guys can let me know in the comments below. However, in the dark, messed up origins of the story, it's a way different, and not only that, we basically see that it's taking place in China and Africa in that story, but in this one, it takes place in the Middle East. Now, about this movie, we see the villain, Jafar, the royal vizier of a fictional city named Agrabah, placed under the Jordan River. At this point, his parrot Iago seeks for the lamp hidden within the Cave of Wonders, but they are told that only one person is worthy to enter. So, of course, Jafar identifies, try to use one of his other friends, one of Gaziam the thief, to try to go get the lamp, but unfortunately it didn't work. So Jafar needed to go find somebody who can, go into the Cave of Wonders to get the lamp. And he finds out later that it was Aladdin, who is a street urchin. And of course, later on in the film, we see that, Aladdin, is living on the streets on his own with nobody except for his monkey Abu. They end up going to steal, food to live. They steal to survive, It was like that, shoplifting and stuff. It was like that way back then. And, of course, it's still like that today. People are still doing shoplifting and stuff like that, which is very crazy, see, come to think of it. So, I'm gonna basically explain and be honest right here now, is that, later on, Jasmine is upset with the law that requires her to marry the prince instead of the one she loves. So, of course, Jasmine doesn't want to get married to a random person that she doesn't even know. And here's the thing. It was like that years ago when, women were married to random people they don't even know. So that can be kind of scary, especially if the man turns out to be, really mean and all that. So later on in the film, we see that Jasmine ends up escaping Agrabah and the palace and meets Aladdin and his pet monkey. Of course, the palace guards eventually captures Aladdin on Jafar's orders, and Jasmine, however, confronts Jafar to demand Aladdin's release. But however, Jafar lies and says that Aladdin has been executed. Yeah, really dark, eh? Disguised as an old man, eventually Jafar frees Aladdin and Abu and brings them to the cave and ordering them to retrieve the lamp. So after being told to touch nothing but the lamp, Aladdin finds a magic carpet pit, and then inside there is tames the lamp, but forgetting the cave's rules, Abu grabs a jewel, and Aladdin and Abu and the carpet rush to escape, but of course the cave collapses. So Aladdin gives the lamp to Jafar, who throws both him and Aladdin back in, but inside it. But of course, Abu steals the lamp back. Aladdin is trapped in the cave and meets the genie who lives inside it. So eventually, Aladdin tricks Genie into freeing them from the cave without using a wish. So he uses his first identity of a prince to get to Jasmine. It promises his third wish is to free the genie. However, in Iago's suggestion, Jafar then plots to become Sultan by marrying Jasmine. But of course, Aladdin, as Prince Ali, he arrives in Agrabah with a huge host, but Jasmine becomes angry and when he discusses that her fate is her father with the Sultan and Jafar without her. So as the means of apologizing, Aladdin takes Jasmine in a magic carpet ride when she deduces his true identity, and he convinces her that only he dresses like a peasant to help her escape the distress of royal life. So eventually, after Aladdin brings Jasmine home, the guards eventually captured Aladdin, and of course, they throw him over to the sea. But however, the genie appears and saves him at the cost of the second wish. However, for Aladdin then returns to the palace and exposes Jafar's evil plot. So Jafar then flees after spotting the lamp and thus discovering Aladdin's true identity later on. So, however, fearing that he'll lose Jasmine if the truth is revealed, Aladdin decides to break his promise and refuses to free the genie. However, Iago steals the lamp, and then Jafar becomes, the genie's new master. He uses his first two wishes to become a sultan and the world's most powerful sorcerer. Then he exposes Aladdin's identity and exiles him and Abu and the carpet to a frozen wasteland. But however, they escape and they return to the palace. So Jasmine tries to help Aladdin steal the lamp back, but Jafar notices and overpowers the two heroes of magic. So Aladdin then taunts Jafar for being less powerful than the genie, tricking Jafar into using his last wish and to all become a powerful genie. So bound to his lamp, Jafar ends up being trapped inside it and taking Iago with him. So if Agrabah returned to normal, the genie banishes Jafar's lamp and advises Aladdin to use his wish to regale his royal title, so the law will allow him to stay with Jasmine. But Aladdin then decides to keep the promise and frees the genie. Realizing Aladdin and Jasmine's love, the Sultan then changes the law to allow Jasmine to marry anyone who she chooses. And then the genie leaves to explore the world. So that is basically pretty much the ending of Aladdin. Now, that was just to kind of refresh the memory. Now, of course, we do know that, the voice acting of this movie is actually really good, and it was actually really nice. So, however, in 1988, Disney was originally going to make the Aladdin movie, and of course, that's when things got really cool. So, of course, the studio and the story and everything began in April of 1991, and of course, they had to read the entire story rewritten, and of course, they rescheduled the film's actual, release date to be November of 1992. Along with some changes, however, they removed, they were going to originally have Aladdin's mother, remarking the 86 of the mother as a 0. However, they just removed the mom. So, and of course, strengthening the the character, and after the changes just were made, including the removal of Aladdin's mother, the strengthening of the character Princess Jasmine, of course, the Aladdin's personality was written to be titled a little rougher, and the parody Aga was originally conceived as a type British archetype, but of course reworked into a comments, and there was like a lot of changes that they had to do, which of course the several elements of this from the 1940 version of the Thief of Baghdad, which of course was for the location of the film in the fictional city of Agrabah. Now, there were some changes and some stuff like that, and of course, this is actually based on the true story of Aladdin. Of course, a live-action version of Aladdin was reported in, and of course, was reported to be made in around 2016, and it took them at least a few years until they were released in May 24th of 2019. So basically, Return of Jafar is just basically kind of the animations based on the TV series, which of course it is like the sequel to the first Aladdin movie. And of course, even though it serves as the pilot to the Aladdin animated series released in 1994, and it was the first Disney direct-to-video sequel that they had made. However, they did another one 2 years later after this movie. Basically, it's like the pilot of it. But however, though, what happens is Jafar, ends up, getting it redone, Basically, what I'm just trying to say is that, it's a short movie, but it was meant to be the pilot episode of the animated series. But however, King of Thieves was also another quote unquote ending, so to say, about the show. But of course, after all, they obviously, made some changes in that. And this is the third movie, and that's when finally Aladdin and Jasmine finally get married, so they finally do so in this movie. Really roller coaster, eh? It's like a roller coaster. There's like a lot of great concept with it. Now, I'm not going into too much into detail about those two movies because, well, they're basically part of, the animated series of Aladdin that came out in the 90s as well as a TV show, so I am not going to go too far into it. Now, the live-action version of Aladdin, the plot is basically pretty much the same, except there are some, certain characters that were not in the movie. Now, however, we do get, certain characters. There's another character that is in this movie, and of course, like I'm gonna say right here, right now, is that was not in the remake, that was not in the original movie, which of course it was something right here. And of course, we have another person named Dyla. Of course, it was one of Jasmine's royal handmaiden, which of course ends up being with the genie in the remake. But of course, there are lots of different stuff into this concept that have kind of made it, really good. And the plot of the original movie is basically the same. However, the different thing about it is that, Aladdin and Jasmine then eventually get married and start a new life. Well, meanwhile, Genie marries Dala and leaves to explore with her for the world, and they eventually start a family. So that's basically, the remake. The remake plot is basically pretty much the same as the original movie, but except that it's live action is one of the differences. It's quite different a little bit. There's certain plot lines that are different compared to the original movie we got, and the plot is basically the same. What I could definitely say is that the movie was really interesting, to say the least. Like, I'm going to be completely honest that it was like really interesting that that the remake of Aladdin did add some new stuff. However, the songs are in there, which I can definitely guarantee, but there is something that I do notice. Now, I did notice this, and I thought, I would make a mention of it. I was going to make a separate video, but, the song that Jafar sings, which is the Prince Ali reprise, it was not in the remake of Aladdin, unfortunately, because they wanted to make room for Jasmine's song called Speechless. Now, don't get me wrong, the original was good, and same with the remake, but I think I prefer the original version, but the remake did pretty good as well. I could definitely guarantee. And I'm not trying to bash the remake, but I do understand the remake did make a couple changes. The fight scene between Aladdin and him was kind of different compared to the original movie. Now, not going too much into detail of the remake, although Will Smith does a really good job as the genie in the remake. Not gonna say, too much about the remake, because here's the thing. The plot is it's basically the same. Like, it's the same movie as the original. That's something I could definitely say. It's the same, but there's nothing too much to really say of. But with all due sincerity, I actually thought these two were actually pretty good films. Now, the shadows that we see are basically, basically Aladdin's enemy, Jafar, who's been hiding in the shadows, being good to Jasmine and the Sultan, but however betrays them. So that was kind of a shadowy move that Jafar did, eh? Not too surprising that Jafar would sit there and, go all haywire after, and he wants to marry Jasmine. I'm going to say this right here, right now. There was a disgusting fanfiction of Aladdin. No, wait, not Aladdin. Jafar and Jasmine X-rated fanfic. Oh my god. I'm not going to go into detail of that because that I'm going to say right now, it's a really disturbing fanfiction. I don't want to bother, explaining what happens because I don't want any of you guys, to be traumatized. If you guys know what X-rated means, then you probably already know. But for those who don't know, let's just say you have to be 18 and older or older to, know this stuff because, it's pretty disturbing. But I could definitely say that, Aladdin. Now, I have not seen the sequels to it, I haven't seen Return of Jafar in a long time, and neither for of the, King of Thieves, but I could definitely say they're really good movies, and I do like the original movie, but I think I also like the remake. Now, let me know what your opinions are on those two in the comments below. So, I'm going to wrap up this episode of Shadows and Pretties. Now, my new episode will be coming out soon, and I will leave, I guess a community tab explaining, and asking you guys what topic I should check out next for Shadows and Pretties. So anyways, what do you think of the Aladdin? Do you like it? Do you not? Also, what would you have done personally to help make one of the movies a lot better? Leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Shadows and Pretties. If you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell as well so you guys will get notified to my newest uploads. Like always, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out, and don't forget to let me know what your thoughts are on Aladdin. So, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace